Some children cry from hunger, and some children cry because their iPad stopped working. Both live in the same country, in the same century, on the same planet, but not in the same world. Before you pressed play on this video, the game was already underway. You just haven't noticed yet, because while you worry about productivity, discipline, purpose, there are people who just wanted a dry mattress to sleep on. That is the truth nobody likes to swallow. Life does not start at zero for everyone. For some, it starts in the negative. They are born not money, but space, respect, health, affection, dignity. Wake up. Meritocracy is an urban legend for those who started 10 steps ahead and want to call that justice. Have you ever seen a race where competitors start at different points and at the end everyone is judged by the same stopwatch? No. Look around. That's what we call society. While the judge's son takes prep courses and goes on exchange programs, the maid's son is trying to survive the police who invade the wrong house with the finger already on the trigger. While one mother complains because her child's private school doesn't have robotics classes, another is praying for a spot in public school where people still write with chalk. And the cruelest part is not inequality, it's the silence. It's when we pretend everything is fine. It's when someone looks at a person who has fallen and asks why they didn't get up faster. Do you know your psychiatrist's name? There are people who don't even know how to write their own name. And still, these people are trying to fit into a world that was never made for them, trying to be accepted by companies that have never hired someone from the same zip code, trying to be heard by people who never learned how to listen to pain without judging grammar. The silence is what kills slowest. It's the violence no one photographs, the wound that leaves no visible scar. It's your mother working 3 jobs and still being called lazy by someone whose biggest decision today was which restaurant to choose. It's watching your father's hands crack from construction work while someone lectures you about soft skills and networking. The silence is knowing your childhood was stolen to pay bills that weren't yours, and then being told you lack ambition. It's the taste of rage you learn to swallow every single day because expressing it makes you the problem, not the system that created it. This is the part they don't mention in motivational speeches, that exhaustion is not always cured by rest, that some tiredness lives in your bones because you've been carrying other people's survival since you could walk. That discipline means nothing when you're disciplining yourself to endure what would break those who judge you. The ones with safety nets call it resilience when you don't have the luxury to fall apart. They call it strength when it's actually just the absence of options. This video is for those who understand, or are beginning to understand now, that we can only change something after we face what exists. Not what motivational coaching wants you to believe, but the concrete, the cruel, the real. Here, the conversation is serious. It's about what is done to you before you ever had the chance to choose who you want to be, and about how, even when life starts crooked, there is a way out. But it does not come with toxic positivity, nor with faith that everything will work out. It comes from something else: awareness, courage, strategy, and above all, knowing your weapons, your strengths, because those who are born losing cannot play like everyone else. They have to know exactly where they step, where they resist, where they cut corners, and where they turn pain into a tool. Stay with me until the end, because this conversation may not change the world, but it can change the way you fight within it. Social justice died in the cradle, but nobody told the child. Have you noticed that some people are born with everything and still think they conquered it alone? It's a form of collective delusion to pretend merit is enough, as if the world were a fair board game where those who try hard win and those who lose simply didn't try enough. It's a lie, but it's a convenient lie. Convenient for those who were born with the board tilted in their favor. Pierre Bourdieu already said, the most powerful inheritance is not money, it is habit. The habit of being heard, of being respected, of knowing that you belong. While one child grows up hearing that they can be whatever they want, another grows up hearing that people like us don't get there. It's not about talent, it's about permission, about what the environment allows you to dream. Meritocracy ignores what the eyes do not see, the structural violence of the starting point. And here's the part that cuts deepest. It's not just that some people start ahead, it's that they start ahead and then write the rules. They decide what counts as professional,
what sounds intelligent, what looks competent. They turn their accidents of birth into standards of excellence. Your accent becomes unprofessional. Your neighborhood becomes a red flag. Your survival skills become invisible because they're not listed on LinkedIn. They measure everyone by a ruler they crafted in their own image and then call the results fair. You spend years learning their language, their codes, their manners, just to be considered half as good. You code switch until you forget what your original voice sounded like. You perform gratitude for opportunities that should have been yours by right. You smile through microaggressions because calling them out makes you difficult, angry, not a culture fit. And the whole time, they sleep peacefully believing they earned everything, while you're awake wondering if you'll ever be enough in a game where the goalposts move every time you get close. Let's look at the facts. According to IBGE data in Brazil, a child born in the south zone of Sao Paulo has a life expectancy up to 23 years higher than a child born on the outskirts of the same city. This is not a metaphor. It's 23 fewer years of life for being born in the wrong place. Shocking. Now add to that access to education, security, networks, the simple fact of having or not having a quiet place to study. We are not talking about motivation, we are talking about an entire ecosystem that pushes some forward and others backward. Malcolm Gladwell in the book Outliers states mercilessly, success is the result of an accumulation of advantages, and when you accumulate disadvantages, you are not in the game, you are fighting to reach the starting point of others. Look at the real case of Dasani, an 11-year-old who grew up in a homeless shelter in New York. She studied, took care of her siblings, and still tried to survive the abuses of the system. Meanwhile, another child at the same hour had piano lessons, ate organic food, and read Harry Potter in an air-conditioned bedroom. Both are called students, but only one carries the world on her back. If you believe both have the same chances, you are repeating the oppressor's discourse, a discourse that serves to keep everything as it is. This is the poison, naturalizing inequality as if it were talent. Society rewards those who are trained from an early age to win, who learn to speak the right way, walk the right way, write the right way, and punishes those who did not have this training as if it were a personal failure and not a failure of origin. But nobody wants to look at the origin. It's uncomfortable, it brings shame, it forces people to rethink their privileges. That's why so many prefer to repeat the mantra of meritocracy, because it's easier than admitting that maybe, just maybe, you are not where you are solely because of effort. Franz Fanon wrote, "Each generation must, in relative opacity, discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it." Our mission is not to pretend the world is fair, it is to reveal the brutality behind this disguised normality. This point is not an attack on those who succeeded, it is a mirror for those who think everyone had the same starting line. The truth is that the starting point is not neutral, and those who do not understand this do not understand anything about what is happening around them. It is not about romanticizing pain, it is about identifying the ground on which each person stands, because without that, every comparison is cowardly, and comparison, when used as a moral rule, is one of the most sophisticated forms of cruelty. The opposite of being hated is not being loved, it is being ignored. The world does not start by beating you, it starts by ignoring you. Ignoring you is the cleanest and most efficient way to erase you. You walk into a store and the security guard follows you. You speak and no one listens. You write and no one reads. You live and no one notices. This is the silent punishment of those born outside the center, invisibility. Ralph Ellison called this the invisible man, not because he did not exist, but because the world refused to see him as human. I am invisible, understand, simply because people refuse to see me. This refusal has method, structure, consequence. Society chooses whom it wants to illuminate and pushes the rest into the shadows. To be invisible is to be passed over since childhood, to not be chosen to represent the class, to not be the encouraged talent, to not be the priority of anything. It is to live backstage in a show you were never invited to perform in. Worse, it is to be discarded before ever having the chance to show who you are. It is as if there were a social operating system and it ignores those who did not come with the complete package: appearance, speech, background, color, class. This is the social performance of the non-place. As anthropologist Marc Auger says, invisibility, when systematic, becomes condemnation. It is a prison without bars, an imposed silence, a neutralization of your presence, and it has a name, the golem effect. In psychology, the golem effect describes what happens when less is expected of someone. That person tends to perform worse, not because they are incapable, but because they were treated as useless until they believed it. This is how the system works. It whispers that you are not enough, then is surprised when you give up. Bell Hooks said that domination is maintained through the denial of the other's experience, and she was right. The best way to keep someone out of the game is to convince them they never should have existed as a player.
But here's what they don't tell you about invisibility. It doesn't just make you unseen, it makes you doubt you were ever real. You start questioning your own memories, your own pain, your own worth. You achieve something and immediately think it was luck, a fluke, a mistake in the system. Imposter syndrome isn't a personal failing when you've been systematically taught that spaces of success were never designed for you. It's the logical response to a lifetime of being told you don't belong, even when you're excelling. And the invisibility multiplies. Your accomplishments get attributed to someone else. Your ideas get repeated by others and suddenly they're brilliant. You're in the room but not in the conversation. You're on the team but not in the photo. You're doing the work but someone else is getting the promotion. This is the advanced course in erasure. Not just being ignored, but being actively disappeared, even when you're present, even when you're performing, even when you're undeniable. Look at Brazil. How many geniuses have we lost because nobody saw them? How many artists, scientists, thinkers, leaders were crushed by the machine of invisibility? You do not find talent where you never looked. You do not form potential where there is no space to germinate. Invisibility kills. It kills the desire to exist, to try, to express oneself. And those who do not understand this still believe failure is a choice. But the truth is this: nobody defeats what they cannot see. If the world does not see you, it also does not hear you, protect you, or welcome you. But there is a breaking point, a moment when someone tired of being ignored screams, not for attention, but for affirmation. And in that scream lies the possibility of transformation. This is where self-recognition begins, because before being someone in the world, you need to be someone to yourself. Imposed invisibility can be broken, but not with cheap self-help. It is broken with awareness, confrontation, and action. You need to be seen, but first, you need to rise from the place where they buried you standing. And rising from that place requires you to do something unbearable. You have to look at yourself, honestly, stripped of both the lies they told you and the lies you told yourself to survive. You have to count the cost of what you endured without flinching. You have to name the things that were stolen, the years that were wasted, the dreams that were murdered before they could breathe. This inventory is brutal because you've spent so long pretending you're fine, pretending it doesn't matter, pretending you can outwork the deficit. But you can't heal what you won't acknowledge. You can't fight what you won't name. Not knowing who you are is exactly what the system expects, because those who do not know themselves accept any label. Ask yourself with brutal seriousness, are you who you decided to be, or did you just occupy the space that was left? The greatest violence of inequality is not what they take from you, it is what they put in its place. Silence, doubt, fear, an identity molded from the outside in. You do not choose to be invisible, but over time you learn to hide. This is where the rupture begins. To know yourself in this scenario is a subversive act. It is like turning on a light in a room designed for you to trip. Carl Jung said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." But awakening when you were born at a disadvantage is not gentle, it is a blow. Because you have to reinvent yourself in the middle of chaos. You have to look at your history without guilt, without shame, and still choose not to be its product. Viktor Frankl, concentration camp survivor, wrote, "Between stimulus and response there is a space, and in that space lies our power to choose our response. In that space is the possibility of rescue. To rescue who you are before the pain, before the label, before survival. Not as an escape from reality, but as a way to return to the game with your own weapons. Because the world already has a plan for those who do not know who they are. Precarious work, shallow relationships, consumption as identity, anesthetized routine. Those who do not know themselves become mass, and mass is moldable by fear, by lack, by pressure. Knowing what moves you, what you can endure, what you refuse, that is freedom, and freedom scares.
Philosopher Michel Foucault said, "Where there is power, there is resistance. But to really resist, you need to know what inside you has not yet been sold." Let's go deeper. To know yourself is to realize that not everything in you is yours. The voices that tell you you are not good enough may have the tone of the school, the church, the exhausted mother, the cruel boss, the news, but they are not yours. You need to detach these voices from your identity, or you will spend your whole life obeying invisible orders. Self-knowledge here is not about discovering your zodiac sign. It is about tracing your wounds, naming your limits, cultivating your strengths, the real ones, those that don't depend on stage or applause. It is at this point that you stop begging for validation and start building presence. The presence of someone who exists with awareness, who knows their value even when the world refuses to pay the fair price. This process is slow, painful, sometimes lonely, but it is necessary, because those who do not know themselves sooner or later will be used to fulfill the role others wrote, and there is no greater pain than living a life that was never yours. Those born in a minefield do not learn how to walk, they learn how to detect explosives. The mistake of those born at a disadvantage is thinking they need to be good at everything to be accepted, that they must compensate for their origin with excellence in every detail. But the truth is different. Those who start behind do not have the luxury of wasting time fixing weaknesses. They need to dig for strength and invest in it like someone digging for water in the desert. This is not a slogan, it is rational survival. Marcus Buckingham, author of Discover Your Strengths, explains that the best results come from those who stop trying to be average at everything and start being unbeatable at something. You will grow more in your areas of greatest competence than in any other. It sounds obvious, but it is not, because the system that shapes those from the bottom does not teach this. It teaches the opposite, that you need to constantly fix yourself. It talks about discipline, focus, resilience, but almost never about singularity, because singularity scares. Being truly good at something that comes from within, something you master naturally, is dangerous because it gives you power, direction, choice, and those who have choice are less controllable. Society, in its silent structure, wants to form adaptable people. But freedom begins when you understand that your strength is not an accessory, it is your chance to break the script. Howard Gardner, with his theory of multiple intelligences, already proved that genius does not live only in logic or language, but in music, in the body, in empathy, in the environment, in the art of connection. The question is not, are you intelligent, but in what way are you intelligent? This shift is fundamental. A boy who dances as if rhythm runs in his blood may be ridiculed at school, but backstage in life, that same dance can become career, voice, art, identity. A girl who draws what she feels with surgical precision may be ignored in traditional education, but what she has is language, design, aesthetics, uncultivated power. And uncultivated power becomes anguish, it becomes energy trapped in the chest, it becomes symptom, it becomes anger. That is why recognizing and applying your strengths is not just about success, it's about sanity. It's about keeping alive the part of you that still believes existence can have flavor and not just weight. The tragedy is watching people bury their gifts because those gifts don't fit the template. Watching someone who could move crowds with words convince themselves they're not smart because they failed algebra. Watching someone with hands that can build anything believe they're worthless because they can't sit still in a classroom designed for a different kind of mind. The system doesn't just ignore your strengths, it actively punishes them if they don't serve its immediate needs. It calls your creativity a distraction. It calls your empathy weakness. It calls your unconventional intelligence a deficit. And so you learn to apologize for being good at the wrong things. You learn to hide what makes you powerful because it makes others uncomfortable. You learn to perform mediocrity in their areas of value, while your actual gifts atrophy from neglect. This is perhaps the cruelest trick, not just denying you opportunity, but convincing you that what you're naturally exceptional at doesn't matter, isn't real, won't save you. But they're wrong. Your unique strength is exactly what they can't replicate, can't steal, can't mass produce. It's the only card in your hand they didn't deal you. And once you learn to play it, everything changes. The job market, universities, spaces of power all operate under standards, and those who deviate from the standard need to present results. You cannot afford to be average. You need to be necessary, irreplaceable, and that only happens when you master your strength. But be careful, this does not mean you need to become a machine. It means you need to invest in what is already yours. Not what they taught you to be, but what is pulsed in you before others' approval. You have fertile ground inside you, and what you plant and water with method can be the key no system expects. This is the turn. You stop asking for permission and start moving like someone who understood that talent is not ornament, it is strategic resistance. The world wants you to fit in, not because it cares about you, but because it does not know what to do with those who overflow. Rebelling against the system is necessary, but surviving within it requires something even harder: emotional control, calculation, disguise, adaptation. You may hate the game, but you need to learn how to play it. This is not about submission, it's about strategic intelligence. Angela Davis wrote, "I am no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I am changing the things I cannot accept." But sometimes to change things, you first need to enter the room where decisions are made. And that entry has a code, a language, clothes, posture, not because the system is fair, but because it protects itself from those who do not conform. This is where you learn to infiltrate. Nietzsche said, "The snake that cannot shed its skin dies." But shedding skin does not mean changing your soul. You can learn to walk among them without forgetting where you came from. You can smile where required without letting them erase your indignation. You can dress the right way, speak the right way, act the right way. Not because you became one of them, but because you understood that access is a trap and also an opportunity. You do not need to violate yourself to survive, but you need to be conscious enough to know that certain doors are not broken down with force, they are opened with performance. And once inside, you can open cracks, you can sabotage from within. Frantz Fanon warned about the danger of cultural alienation, of losing one's identity in exchange for validation. But he also knew that the oppressed must find breaches, and sometimes the only breach is to appear to be what the oppressor expects until it is too late. Do you want to live on the margins, shouting from the outside? Or do you want to sit at the table with all weapons sharpened and calmly say, "Now it's my turn to decide"? Most real revolutionaries learn to act, to hide fire behind smiles, to organize revolts in the silence of corridors, to occupy spaces without surrendering. Conforming in these cases is not betraying yourself, it is choosing to fight with armor. And you know what scares the system? Not the scream, but the silence of someone who knows exactly what they are doing. Fitting in, for those born outside, can be the last chance to remain whole, because being swallowed by hunger, rage, or contempt is also a form of defeat. You do not need to become a cog. You need to learn how to spin with them until you know how to jam the engine. This is the art of resisting without disappearing, of existing without needing to scream all the time, of winning without apologizing for it. You are still you, but now with a map, direction, and purpose. Because in the end, the system tries to erase, but those who know their origin, master their strength, and learn how to move, they do not just survive, they alter the route. You made it this far, and that already says a lot about you. In a world that screams frivolity all the time, stopping to reflect on inequality, identity, and personal strength is a rare, almost revolutionary act. You could be watching any other video, but you chose to be here. You chose to hear uncomfortable truths. You chose to look inward. That is already a kind of courage, and yes, that already helps. It helps a lot, because every view, every comment, every share is like turning on a light in a place where many still live in the dark, and that alone already makes this space something bigger than a channel. It makes it a movement. But if you feel that this content transforms, provokes, inspires, and you want to go further, you can support this project more directly. By becoming a channel member, you are not just contributing financially, you're helping keep this message alive, pulsating, reaching more people who truly need to hear this. Members get early access to content, behind the scenes, exclusive interactions, and other benefits we create carefully for those closer to the mission. And if you want to make a one-time contribution, the Super Thanks feature is also available right below. It's a simple, direct way to say, "This made sense to me." But do not be mistaken, just the fact that you are here, listening, sharing, thinking, is already a vital part of all this. You are part of the change, and every transformation begins with those who pay attention. So if this message touched you in any way, don't let it die here. Share it, spread it, and if you can, strengthen it even more, because nobody builds anything great alone. And if this channel has a purpose, it only makes sense with you inside.